Hey everyone, it's Leigh with Creative Aging from Arts Council OKC. This week we're going back to do white charcoal pencil drawing and we're going to do a jellyfish. So something a little more fluid, a little different. The materials you're going to need, white and black charcoal pencils, black construction paper, a large and a small eraser. And if you have a charcoal pencil with eraser on the end, that's fine for your small one. Q-tips for the blending tool, and then a pencil sharpener if you need it to keep your points sharp. So, all right, I'll gather this up and we'll get started. Okay. So on this one, you can see that okay. This one, I did it a little more solid. Now, granted, the great thing about jellyfish is you can really kind of make them up. You don't have to have them look in a certain way. So I'm just kind of looking at a picture that I found on the internet for a different one. I'm going to make this one a little more translucent. But you can have them look like anything. These are really pretty. There's all sorts of different kinds of jellyfish on there. One thing that I would recommend, since we are doing this in reverse, as we have before, I would print one out that is in reverse, that, like how you're going to, with the black background and the white jellyfish, because it's easier to see that way. Sometimes when you're just going from a basic drawing of a jellyfish, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it, what's dark on a regular drawing is actually going to be white on your black paper. So anyway, just a rule of thumb, and some of you may be great at it, that's fine. So I'll leave this one kind of here. This one is just kind of hovering in the water. It's just kind of hanging down, and I did the tentacles last, and you're going to want to use your black pencil to just kind of go along those lines. And with everything, it takes layering of pencil. You guys know this by now. And jellyfish are a really easy shape. You just start with kind of like the mushroom head, and this one has those big, heavy, funky things in the center, and you can kind of have them slightly overlap, and you can really have fun with this, and you can make whatever kind of texture you want with these. And just, use both your black pencil and your white pencil. And then there's going to be a lot of blending with your Q-tip. So one of the things you want to do is, I recommend having a whole bunch of Q-tips, because even if you're focusing on, while you're just doing white and you're blending it in, great. But once you start, blending in some blacks, then you don't want to use that black one on just something you're wanting to blend with white. So that's just something that I find helpful. And some of you who have a blending stump, feel free to use it. I just wanted to use Q-tips because that's easy. Most people have those around the house. And just have fun. And on these in here, where I really wanted to bring out the tentacles, I used the black charcoal pencil just to color it in the background, because that really brings it up, because the black charcoal pencil is darker than your black construction paper. So, and if you're really trying to do a little bit of shading on here too, there's going to be dark black all the way along here, because that's creating the shadow that's going across your tentacles and the inside of the jellyfish. So just keep that in mind too, but really kind of have fun. You can make a really stylized jellyfish too. You can make it look like a fabulous mushroom, whatever you want. So the one that I'm going to work on now is, I'm starting with just kind of the outline of the mushroom head, and I'm going to actually try to do this one in a more translucent way. And so I'm trying to kind of get some shapes in here of the, the jellyfish hood. I think that's what it's called. So anyway, they have some really kind of interesting things going on inside them. So I'll kind of move this over And we'll worry about the tentacles later. This one doesn't really have any heavy stuff in it, so we're just going to focus on the hood of the jellyfish right now. So kind of get in your basic mushroom shape and make whatever shapes you want on the inside of it. And then we're just going to start by, you know, like how we did on the horses. Just, I'm going to use really a lot of the edge of my pencil and just kind of fill in lightly. Just fill it all in white. And just remember just to be slow about it and just kind of using like the light circular motion is helpful. And if you need to, flip your paper over. Do it upside down if it's closer to you, then that's easier. So, and remember, don't really use, doing the circular motion kind of keeps it shorter and softer, because if you're just to do it on the tip and do it, you're going to have like lots of straight, harsh lines, and it's not going to help with the translucent softness of the jellyfish hood. Now, the hood itself, I'm sure in real life, is actually not very soft. But anyway, you know what I mean. So see, I'm just kind of filling this in. And then once we get all of this kind of filled in, we're going to go and I'm going to then use the Q-tip on it. And I like to have the bigger shapes in here because I know they're going to do something else. They're going to be a little different value, which is fine. They're going to be a little bit brighter white. So, and then they have other little shapes in there. So I'm just kind of having fun with this. Just so. See how I'm just kind of moving. So you want this to be as easy on your hand as possible. So I'm just really kind of loosely, well, I've got a firm grip on the pencil, but I'm not really holding it really hard and it's on its side. So you can lay down a lot of charcoal this way. And then I also flipped it upside down so my hand's not going across the top of it. And so now we can add in a few more shapes in here. A little bit more. And like I said, you know, jellyfish, you can kind of make it up and you can have all sorts of interesting shapes in here. So it really is, it doesn't have to look exact. You can kind of make it up and you can have your jellyfish head be, you know, more bulbous. If you want flatter, they do, all kinds of jellyfish exist in the ocean. And, you know, another option too is if you want to, you can look at, you know, a line drawn jellyfish for all the different kinds of shapes of jellyfish, and then just use that outline to give you a basic starting place, and then find a three-dimensional one, you know, an image that you can kind of see really how they're put together if you want to do a specific. So, and basically what we're just going to do is just keep going over this. And it's going to seem kind of strange for a while. Jellyfish are strange anyway. But I just wanted to get this basic stuff in here. And then you just take one of your Q-tips and just kind of blend it. Same thing, I like to use the circular pattern just because it kind of keeps it nice and soft. But you can just try it and experiment, and you know, the circular blending, I like to start with that because that seems to kind of break up the charcoal pencil better, and then you can kind of use it in a circular motion, but then kind of in a rounded way. So just figure out what works best for you. So we're just kind of blending this under layer. So there we go. So you know so this is not, it's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time. And just go slow and enjoy yourself. I'll flip this right side up here in just a minute so it doesn't seem strange upside down. But this one I wanted to have a little bit more movement, so that's why I have the hood or the head of the jellyfish kind of over to one side. So anyway. And I meant to leave this a little bit black. And then oops, broke my eraser. And if there are areas that you want to keep black, then just kind of move around them. It's not going to matter. I mean, I could also have added in black charcoal pencil, but just remember, especially like I was just rubbing my finger across this, make sure that you don't really do that too much because it'll smear. And then also remember you can use your eraser as a tool too, so if you wanted to go back in there and denote some lines. So I'm just kind of looking at something to kind of give me some shapes that I like, but then ultimately I'm just going to kind of make it my own in here too. Okay. So it's light enough right now that by doing that it's not too bad, but okay. Anyway. So, and then if there are areas that that you're going to want to have brighter white, then you can slowly start pressing a little more firmly and keeping it, and giving it more pressure so it's brighter white. Now, part of what we're trying to do on this one is kind of give the illusion that it has some three-dimensionality to it, and that it's kind of translucent. Because I know we've done a lot of stuff where we've used the white charcoal to make things kind of opaque and smooth, but I thought it would be kind of interesting to doing a little translucent stuff a whirl. And totally, if you don't like it, don't worry about it. Then you can just kind of do your own thing. And then just kind of use a little bit of the white charcoal over, a harsh line just to kind of soften it up. So. So, and I always like to kind of just use the edge of the pencil and circles and just keep going. So we're just getting a lot of just the background kind of color and texture in here. Okay. And like I said, this just takes a little bit of time, but see, since we already did that one layer of white underneath, it adds, some nice visual texture and depth already. And so and then when you want to do any, really distinct details later, then you can flip it up, and we'll do some of that with the tentacles. Then you can flip it up on its point and really go to town in that way. So, but right now I'm just kind of slowly building this up. I kind of made it look like it has eyeballs right now. That's okay. And some jellyfish have a more opaque top, and are more segmented, and others are, more translucent. So just figure out what kind of jellyfish you're trying to draw. So, and you can, like I said, you can totally make one up. Sometimes I like doing that a lot, but before the lesson, I kind of like to have something that exists out there so that you can look at it and try your hand at it. So just keep going, and then use your blending tool, which is a fancy Q-tip. So you can just kind of use that and soften your lines. And once you kind of get your charcoal lines down there, then you can just go over it. You don't have to use a circular motion if you want to keep it in that same, follow the same line, but it just softens the edges. Same thing within here. And you don't want to rub it too much. You just kind of want to blend it in a little bit. You don't want it to completely go away, but it kind of softens it. And if you really like that texture, then don't go over it if you don't want to. So and just kind of keep going. I know you guys will probably do some really nice dramatic flowing tentacles. I just kind of kept that one a little bit static, but it's still floating in the water, so. But see, we're just slowly building it up, and I want the top on here to be brighter, so. Okay, so you can tell now I've filled in a little bit more of this, and I just have kept going back over it with the Q-tip some. Now I'm still, I want to keep it soft, but I did some of these lines just to mark where I want to, have some brighter whites. So I'm still working on this part. But what I wanted to do was just show you how just really with the tentacles, this other one has fatter tentacles, this one has really skinny ones. So just really kind of have fun with it. And just, and if you need to stand up, get some distance from it and just pull your lines. But it really just kind of, they even kind of overlap each other some in here. So just don't worry about it. You just want them to kind of wiggle and flow, and you have some kind of like short little funky ones. So, and you just want to kind of make sure that it looks like it's kind of flowing in the water. And then you can go back and add even more up here so it looks like they've got all of the little bits coming out here. Okay. And then just kind of give yourself some distance from it. And if some stuff looks a little too heavy down in here, it looks like you've done too much, or something looks a little too straight, don't worry about it. Just erase it. So if some of them look a little too similar in length, that's fine. Just draw some more over it. And you'll add more to this so it's brighter, and you can even add some that are thicker. And just kind of play around with it. I just kind of like to get some in first so then I can kind of know, kind of get the flow of it. Because this looks a little bit like a straight line here. And so I can kind of go in and change some of those out. That's why I like to kind of stand up when I do it. But I'm not standing up right now obviously. So just kind of, but you can change it up. And if you want all of yours to kind of look like really skinny pieces of hair, then keep it really thin. We'll just kind of have fun with it. And you don't even have to use an eraser. You can just keep adding lines. But what I want to do is kind of, but you get the idea. And, you know, if you think that part of the tentacle is a little too straight, then change it. Okay. So, you get the idea. Woo! And then don't totally smear it all. So now we're going to kind of go back in here and just slightly press a little bit harder because I really want this top part to be, you know, really nice and bright white. Because we want some differentiation between the, you know, parts of the translucent hood. You want some contrast. You need some, and this one is going to be a little bit more subtle. I mean, that's the goal. So then what you can do is, because we're going to add some black in here, and then also use your Q-tip to kind of soften some edges, and you can use this in kind of in a directional way. So I'm going to kind of smooth this up in this way. And then I have to remind myself too, because even if I'm looking at a picture of a jellyfish to start with, just to kind of get the basic shapes, then at some point just keep making it your own, and don't, you know, sometimes it's confusing. I've done this to myself when I keep trying to look at the reference image too much when my picture looks a little different, the drawing looks different. Then if I try to go back and kind of make it look more like the reference image, then I frustrate myself because I should have just left it alone. So see, I blended a lot of that back in. So we're going to add, I'm going to start adding in some darker whites again. And then this time I'm not really going to blend these as much. So, but you get the idea. And then, you know, so then you'll want to switch, kind of switch back and forth now between your white pencil and your black pencil. And to create even more contrast, you know, like we've done in the past, just use your black pencil over where you want it to be dark. And then I'm also not pressing really hard. I'm not pressing very hard right now because I don't want a really heavy black line. I just kind of want to give some softness in here. But then if there is a bit of line, then just kind of go in with your Q-tip and kind of soften that up. And you can even just dot it across. Kind of softens it a bit. And then just remember that once you use black on there, just use it for when you're blending in your black stuff. So now I'm going to kind of come back up in here and because you want, keeping things looking kind of translucent, you don't really want a heavy line, so it's going to be a lot of blending. I'm just kind of getting it where you want it. So I'm going to come in here and press down just a little bit more. And even when you're you know, using the really nice dark white with highlight for highlights, or I still, unless it has a very distinct edge, I still try to work it on the edge of the pencil so it doesn't have that really distinct line, unless you really want it there, and that's, you know, that's totally up to you. You know, kind of the softness is nice. So I'm just kind of moving it around, and you can just kind of see, because I wanted to kind of get back in here and fill in some more areas. And the jelly, this, you know, I'm trying to keep something translucent, is kind of, it's a little tricky. So as long as you get the basic gist of it for this, then that's great. I want to have a little bit of a transition between the really bright white up on the edge here. Moving down towards it in the... So, you know, you just are going to be going over this quite a lot, which is fine. You know, this just takes time. Well, I'm a total broken record. I know it. But you guys can do this. I'm sure you guys are going to make some amazing jellyfish, so. So, Man of War, or what are they? There's some like mushroom ones, or I'm sure they have fancy names. Okay. So just keep going, and kind of want to soften it a little bit, but you know, when you start adding your brighter whites, you know, then you don't want to blend it all back in, but you also don't want to leave really distinct lines either, if that's not your intention. Now, if you do, that's totally fine. And doing smooth surfaces, you know, as you know, is a little tricky. So, and just keep going. So, let's see. And then too, if you're trying to blend a large area, you can use your finger, but just, you know, the oil on your fingers can make it do something that you might not like. So, and then you can also then come back in and you can use your eraser some, kind of clean some things up or bring some things out. And so, then if you need to, you know, sharpen your pencil. But I'm going to come in and put a nice heavy line on here. Okay. And so in areas that you know are going to be really dark, just kind of come in again with the black charcoal pencil. And then you can just kind of start out with more pressure and then just slightly use a little less. really, you know, that's all there is to this. It's just layers of pencil. And it's just taking your time. You know, because you'll have more time than I'm trying to cram in here. And then you can really finesse yours and really get it looking good. I feel like I'm gonna come in here and so keep at it. All right, so you can see that I have continued to slowly add more white and just kind of get a little bit, you know, press a little bit harder so I have brighter whites. I was trying to keep it kind of translucent. Jellyfish are kind of weird, and you know, and it's not easy, so just do what you can or do something solid, but it's fine. However you do it, it's going to be amazing. Jellyfish are weird. So then what I also did is use the black in here to kind of give some contrast, but you know, you want it to be dark but not too dark. So, and then with the tentacles, you can see I went in and I just, you know, you just kind of make a bunch of lines with your white pencil. Then I thickened a few, and then to help bring them out, I just added the black along the line. Now another thing you can do is, if you really want to denote the solid blackness behind them, is to kind of go in between areas, you know, where there are a few, and just kind of do some nice bits of dark black, and that really kind of brings out your tentacles, gives some nice contrast. Same thing with if you want to do this around the hood of your jellyfish, just kind of gently roll in some black, and then you can soften it. But you can kind of see how that brings out the jellyfish, brings out the white. Now you certainly don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just kind of liked to do that because it just adds a really nice contrast. And then you can kind of fan it out. On this one here, that's what I did. You can see I did more black in here, and then I actually kind of fanned the black around the edges just to kind of give a little more depth. And so, granted, on this one I'll work more on the tentacles some more, but I just kind of pulled a few of them out and made them fatter, and then, you know, I'll go over some more because they have a lot. You know, and just kind of have fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enjoy yourself and like pick it up and look at it to get a different perspective if you can, so you can see it better. And then if you think, well, the tentacles are really hard edge, then just take your Q-tip and just kind of go over that black line gently, and it smooths it out so it's not as harsh. And if you like that look, then just kind of do that. But just remember that your Q-tip is kind of fat, so if there's something you're trying to avoid, then just be aware of it. And if you want to leave some of them really nice dark black, then just soften a few edges. It's your jellyfish, so you get to choose however you like to do it. So same thing with, you know, if you accidentally got a little bit of black in this one, then just kind of go in here with the white. Or if you want to add a little dimension to this one, just kind of, so really just kind of have some fun. At this point, you've done the hard part. And really, jellyfish, easy shape to do, just takes patience, you know, just being slow about how you're layering your pencils. So I look forward to seeing everybody's jellyfish when we get to see you. And you can send your images in to the Arts Council. You can email them. I know they love seeing everybody's work. So take good care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.